WNBL.
Nice little floater, smart, good ball movement.
Through the keyway, shot up, and it's good.
Making the big shots and the big moments. Jacks up another three.
The spin cycle.
Sets up for the three herself and drains it.
Nice move inside. Pulls up and knocks down the three.
Puts up a three and finds her range.
Oh, that's a great find, and that is the game.
Round 4 of WNBL action tips off with a Wednesday night doubleheader and will begin in the Harbour City as the Sydney Uni Flames host the Deakin Melbourne Boomers. The Flames hunting their first win under new coach Shane Hill. They're back home at Qudos Bank Arena where they all but rolled the Caps in their season opener before being overpowered by the Fire in Townsville on Saturday. The Boomers, meanwhile, they're gearing up for their third game in 5 days. It's been a hectic period, and as I welcome in Laurie Chiswick, Laurie, important for the Boomers here to make sure that they don't just get a little bit lazy on the back end of this road trip, this 3-game road trip. They want to finish it strong.
Absolutely. You can never come into any game complacent in this competition. And while they're in form, you've got to make sure that you're ready to go, you're on point, your shooters are ready, mentally you're ready to go.
And the Melbourne Boomers, as you said, probably the team to beat early in the season. We haven't seen the Perth Lynx yet. We'll talk about them a little bit more a little later on. But they've been in fantastic form as we check out the ladder after round 3, heading into round 4 of season WNBL. Bearing in mind, teams have played different amounts of games, so the table's actually sorted by winning percentage, that second last column. So whilst at the first of 3 wins, the Boomers actually sit second behind the undefeated Townsville Fire. Important evening for the Flames, as you can see. A win here keeps them in touch with the top 4. And I mentioned the Perth Lynx, yet to hit the court this season due to WA COVID restrictions. They'll be based in Ballarat throughout January. Their season will tip off January 2nd against the Lightning in Adelaide. Well, the Sydney Uni Flames went 5-8 in the hub last season. They missed the playoffs for the 3rd straight year. Owner Paul Smith went out and got new coach Shane Hill, and they put together a 3-year plan. So a pretty young team, Laurie. 9 new players in their squad of 12. A development year now as they build to the future.
Well, they do, and that's always the idea when you have generally a new owner comes in, you get a new coach in, you want to try and build that culture early, try and establish some certain things, and look to the future. It's you know, we always say it's not a race, it's a marathon out there. So that's what Sydney's about right now is building their franchise. And if we look at that starting lineup, you can see names that we haven't seen before. Kalani Purcell, I think, has been doing a great job for them coming from the Melbourne Boomers. Chelsea Dungy last week did a magnificent job keeping Lauren Nicholson to only a few points in that game last week. So Shyla, probably a bit down on numbers from last year, but look, I think she will get better and better as the season goes on, of course. Their bench is probably a little bit light on, but you can never underestimate a team that's coached by Shane Hill.
The Boomers, well, they've been perennial contenders in recent seasons, 4 consecutive final series, including a prelim last season, and all the early indications suggest that this season's squad might actually be their best yet as they go hunting their 2nd championship. 3 quality guards, Laurie, Lindsay Allen, Tiff Mitchell, Tess Madgen, and then 2 dominant bigs, Kayla George and Ezzy Magbagor. That's all any coach could really ask for, isn't it?
Well, we often talk about the big 2 or the big 3 in a team, but I think we have to talk about a big 5. You know, they've got big points, big minutes that they play, and they've had a great start to this season and are just combining so well as a group.
Well, Australia has been rocked this week by the tragedy that happened in Devonport, which cost the lives of 6 youngsters in tragic circumstances. It's touched us all. The basketball community in Australia, no exception to that. The news that we've lost one of our own, young Chase Harrison, who was a much-loved member of the Devonport Warriors, and also the Basketball Tasmania Further Development Program. And a public fund has been set up in support of the family, so if you would like to donate, we'll put the details up on screen shortly. And both the WNBL and NBL will be honouring all 6 children by wearing black armbands and hosting a minute's silence at every game this week. And Laurie, at times like this, we do talk about basketball being a community, and it really is. It's a national community.
Well, it is, and it's just such tragic circumstances, and I'm really appreciative that the basketball community is recognizing these young children in the way that they are.
So it's game time. The Flames haven't beaten the Boomers since December 2018. They haven't beaten them at Qudos Arena since October of 2017. Away we go. Wednesday night action. Sydney and Melbourne from the Harbour City, and the Boomers straight into it through Madgen. The perfect start.
Well, you wouldn't want to start any better than that. Your first shot of the game, first pass, first assist, looking good.
Sizzling start for the Boomers. Purcell off to Mansfield, two of the more experienced veterans in this team. Shyla Hill, one of their exciting youngsters. Purcell matched up with Madgen. Hill sees a mismatch, wants to take on George, who does enough to hassle her out of the shot. And Madgen with the quick ball movement. Magbagor, Allen, George, Madgen again, double teamed, opens George, Magbagor, and one. That is a pretty impressive 43 seconds of basketball from the Boomers.
That was very unselfish from the whole team, especially Kayla George, when she actually likes that little baseline jump shot. It looks like she's almost going to shoot it, and then sees Ezzy in a higher percentage shot, gets it inside, a nice finish.
So this is the one area of Ezzy's game that's been a little bit of a concern so far this season. She's 10 from 20 at the free throw line. And that'll do the world of confidence. Flying start here from the Boomers. They're up by 6. So Hill and Mansfield share the point guard roles. We've also got Dungy there who can play the point as well. So plenty of options to bring it down the floor. Purcell back to Hill. Guarded by Magbagor. Purcell drives through the lane against Allen. Won't drop. Kalani gets her own rebound. Ezzy comes over the top. Boomers ball. Madgen. Thought about Magbagor under the hoop.
Big mismatch there with Kayla.
Once again, she gets it to Magbagor. Can't get the shot away cleanly. And the Flames bring it down the floor through Hill, looking for an option. Takes the long-range shot herself, won't drop. And once again, Magbagor dominant at both ends right now.
What was the right idea that Sydney, it was a drag screen, came out early in the transition to try and get Shyla coming off of it. So it was actually a good shot to take, but unfortunately didn't see the bottom of the rim.
Boomers have the size advantage through Magbagor and George. It's kicked out to Madgen, again inside to Magbagor. She's already proving difficult to stop on the boards. And around the basket at both ends.
Well, you would have to think that that's got to be a focus for the Melbourne Boomers, that they're going to get the ball inside, take advantage of their height. Really good finishers in Magbagor and George.
Hill out to Froling. Draws the offensive foul, does Lindsay Allen. Guy Malloy could barely be happier with his first 2 minutes. Thoughts, Laurie Chiswick?
Well, I thought that Lindsay Allen really placed her body. She really anticipated what Keely Froling, which way she was going to go with her dribble penetration, and just nailed that charge.
So Allen versus Hill. It's going to be an exciting battle to watch. George off to Magbagor. Receives back to George. Came through Mitchell. And Kayla George is on the board as well.
High-low action between the two bigs. They've got a real connection tonight, whether it's George passing to Magbagor or we just saw there that high-low action. They're going to be very difficult for Sydney to stop.
Well, this is plan A, Laurie. Speaking to Guy Malloy in the lead up to the season and indeed during the season, plan A for them is to establish that interior game. Then they can work the perimeter game off that. And so far, they've managed to do it superbly.
Well, they have, and I love that connection when two bigs can play like that and look for each other and have that chemistry with each other. It's really hard to stop.
So Shane Hill, very much a teaching coach. That's been the feedback from inside the Sydney camp, and indeed he puts a great emphasis on that as well. Laurie, he's a teaching coach, which makes him perfect for this young squad as they look to develop. And he actually takes the opportunity in games to use those moments and teach in the moment, which some coaches do and some don't they? So some put it aside and say, I'll deal with it later. Shane's one to deal with an issue right now and sell that lesson to the player as it happens.
And I think when you do have a young group, as we know this Sydney side that they do, then those moments are invaluable moving forward, and hopefully next game they improve on that, or even the next play down the floor.
So Hill, guarded by George, sets up for the three and nails it. Shyla Heal's just going to get better and better. Game 1 of the season was her first game in 349 days, so has not had a lot of basketball in the last 12 months, so court time for her is going to be invaluable. Mitchell to George. Magbagor thought about the three, almost pulled the trigger. Madgen drives and draws a foul.
Geez, I thought Ezzy was going to let that one go.
So Shyla Heal, very much a score-first point guard. Lauren Mansfield, probably a facilitate-first point guard, Laurie. So the two of them complement each other's styles.
Well, I like that look that Shyla had, and that she was looking at her defender. Kayla actually had her arms down when she shot that ball, and so that was a smart decision by Shyla. And in this game today, she is going to have to put up some big numbers, because if I compare the two teams defensively, they're very similar. They both sort of average 66 points to their opponents. But the Boomers are 20-plus points in the offensive end, so Shyla needs to really come on and get some points.
So Madgen makes both free throws. She's 9 for 10 from the stripe. Heal goes back to the well for the three-point ball, but it rattles out. Magbagor dishes it off to Mitchell, who loves to drive at the hoop, and she's so difficult to stop. Good defense there from Rowe to do just enough. Heal takes it down the floor, wants to take Madgen on again with quick feet. Through Purcell, Mansfield, long ball won't go. Mitchell off hands, and Allen tidies it up for the Boomers. Sharp start from Melbourne, out to an early double-digit lead. Madgen throws it away.
Right idea, just not well executed. Tessa would be disappointed in that because, you know, she's a great passer, great facilitator, Tess Madgen.
Really good start to the season for Tess Madgen. Working off Allen and Mitchell. She can play that combo guard role that suits her so well. Mansfield drives, lovely little scoop.
The defense just seemed to open up, and there was absolutely a clear driving lane and good finish.
Margin back to 7. So the Flames very much a small ball team, small, fast, aggressive, want up-tempo basketball. Don't have a lot of bigs to compete with Melbourne's size. So they want to put speed on the game. Tough finish from George. She's in fine form.
Not often do you see Kayla doing a shot sort of on the move. Usually she catches it. Looks like she's going to pass and then shoots it.
Didn't even need to set the feet on that occasion. Mansfield does from outside 3 and drains it. Much better last couple of minutes for Sydney, and the margin's back to 6. They've settled into the contest after getting jumped early. Magbagor's open. Madgen even more open, and she punishes the Flames.
One thing I really like that I think Tess has improved over these last few years is her release, her shot release. She just caught that in position ready and had a really quick release on that. It was really good to see.
Really confident at the moment, isn't she, Madgen? Nice drive from Hill, draws the foul. So there's Kalani Purcell barking the instructions. Mansfield and Purcell, the two veterans in this lineup, surrounded by talented youngsters who are like sponges, just soaking it up and learning. And a great moment for Emma Mahadi. You see her right of screen there, number 2 for the Flames. A 29-year-old makes her WNBL debut as Shyla Heal makes her first. Emma, originally from Albury, went to the California Uni of Pennsylvania for 4 years between 11 and 15. Has played NBL 1 at the Albury Wodonga Bandits, and now gets an opportunity after missing the first couple of games with a hamstring. Here she is guarding Tiff Mitchell. So congratulations to Emma. It's been a long journey, but she makes her debut, Laurie, at 29. Fantastic story.
Isn't it? You know, you have to congratulate players like that persevere, they keep going, and then they take their chances, and when they get their opportunities, they're ready to go.
Real hard-working off the ball type. She's got the ball now. Rowe gives it off to Heal. Mansfield. Purcell sets up for Mansfield, buys her some space. Mansfield goes hard to try and win the rebound. It spills out to Rowe and back to Heal. So some time in possession here for Sydney, working well. Whistle's gone. Off the ball foul. Looks to be on Madgen.
A lot of poise showed by Shyla Heel coming off that on ball, just really keeping her dribble alive, seeing what the defense is doing, and a foul was called.
Rhoda Mansfield. Purcell. Heel, lovely move. Blows by, and then Izzy with the
Not here, you're not going to do that.
Allen to Madgen, travel called on Tess, frustration. So after a sizzling start from the Boomers, that first minute or two was outstanding. Look at that from Magbagor.
She's got such length, and to time that block is not easy.
Mansfield again from range. Once again, it won't drop. So they're not going to die wondering from the three-point line.
Twice.
And she's so nimble that she's much more difficult to get around than a standard big. Here's George to Allen. Madgen works to the corner again, sets up. Magbagor over the top, but Mahadi did well. Mansfield just loses the handle, flips it back to Heel. Thinks about taking on Madgen. Deep two. George can't take it cleanly. Mansfield for three. That won't go either. Boomers ball. Allen almost loses it under some pressure from Mansfield. Needs to get into the front court and does to Madgen.
Get after Flamesand. Defense.
Magbagor through Madgen to Allen. Mitchell. Now George. It's going through all hands. They've got Madgen wide open. Superb ball movement once again.
She's got a hot hand, Madgen. She feels really confident at that three-point line right now.
Here to Purcell. Nice little find of Mansfield. Just couldn't quite with Magbagor occupying the lane.
Bring the game for the Boomers, number 10, Izzy Wright. And also number 8, Lily Scanlon.
Izzy Wright, Lily Scanlon come off the bench now to provide their starters with some rest. The Boomers with 8 primary players really at the moment. They're starting 5 plus Scanlon, Davidson,
and Izzy
and
Wright. Yep.
And Mitchell, that's what she does best. Gets to the hoop. And that was an element, Laurie, that they specifically went out and recruited. Had lots of perimeter shooters. Lindsay Allen, not a strong driver, a clever one, but Tiff can really power through traffic.
So now they really have all the pieces in the puzzle. They've got their bigs that can be an inside presence, but can also shoot from outside. Their perimeter shooters, some good cutters, and now a slasher and a driver with Mitchell.
Heel, a little short off the front of the iron, and George hands it off to Scanlon, who's just a one-speed player, flat out at all times. Takes on Heel. Tried to bring it back inboard to Mitchell, who fights her way to possession. Such a powerhouse player, Tiff Mitchell. And as you mentioned now, they've got 3 complementary guards, all different styles between Madgen, Allen and Mitchell. Mitchell, the most combative of the 3, just so strong.
And that was a really good read by Tiff Mitchell. Her player went across to help to stop that penetration. And instead of sticking out at the perimeter, she's dove into the key area. Nice little nimble pass. And she finds herself at the line.
Securely Froling back into the game for the Flames. Mitchell makes the first. What a start to her WNBL career. Averaging 18 points a game. She's an elite free throw shooter. 17 of 19 now she's made this season. Goes at 90% in the WNBA, 5th all time. Mansfield to Froling. Davidson into the game for the Boomers, has the matchup on Froling. Mansfield can't get past Davidson. Kicks it inside to Froling, beautiful pass. Great vision from Lauren Mansfield. Froling draws the foul.
Boomers foul.
You have to admire Keely Frawling. Week in and week out, she is playing against bigger bodies, taller, stronger, and she does such a great job. She never takes a backward step. Defensively, she's always battling to get around, to get in front, and she does a great job.
Well, the more aggressive and combative type player you will not find in the WNBL. She's always up for the fight, Keely Frawling.
Sponsored by Gamble Aware.
Mitchell brings it down the floor, harassed by Heel. Mansfield putting some heat on the young point guard, Scanlon. Davidson. Scanlon to her left and right, out to the right, sets up for three, doesn't take many. It rattles out to Heel. So 90 seconds left in the opening term. Margin sits at 12. Bounce pass inside to Froling, kicked out to Rowe. Flames looking to spread the floor. Heel steps back. Long range shot is good.
You can see Shane on the sideline with his double fists, and they're pressing up back into sort of a matchup zone.
Davidson combines with Wright, back into Davidson, and a foul called on Heel, who copped the mismatch in size. Here's another look, Laurie.
Just that long two right on the three-point line.
Nina Davidson comes to the line, getting more minutes this year. Kalani Purcell has moved from the Boomers to the Flames. So Penina Davidson now the #1 backup big. She's getting 16 minutes a game at the moment, and her game's already starting to blossom.
Well, she played some important minutes against Bendigo when Kayla Francis got into early foul trouble in the first half, and she came on and they didn't miss a beat.
So they put 3 years of development into Penina at the Boomers. She's been predominantly a backup to the backup. Now she's getting some opportunities to show what she can do. She's a very underrated shooter, as we saw there. Nailed both those free throws, got a really good stroke. He's Heel again, always busy. Great vision out to Nakasoglu. Can't drain the three. 40 seconds left in the opening term. Magbagor off to Mitchell. Always looking for a lane is Tiff Mitchell. Can't get it to go, gets it herself and puts it back.
Now that's just padding your stats, isn't it? What a great offensive board and put back.
Heel working against Scanlon. Magbagor with the board. So Scanlon holds it up, calls the play, and the Boomers set. Heel with the pressure, forces Scanlon left. She's got Magbagor wide open in the lane, didn't see her, went to Davidson for the three. Wide open board for Wright, but the buzz-up will beat the Boomers. Impressive opening term from Melbourne. And at the first change, they hold a 14-point lead. It's the Melbourne Boomers 28, the Sydney Uni Flames 14.
Strong enough, not fast enough, wrong. We're crossover queens, scoring buckets, taking names and hitting no-look threes. We fight for every ball until we dunk, hell yeah. When we roll onto the court with nothing to lose and everything to prove, you're in for a show. She got style, she got balls, she got belief, she got game.
It's quarter time. 14 points after a sizzling opening term. They had 10 points on the board in no time at all. Mansfield to Heel. Kicks it out. Nakasoglu. Clever. Banks it in for 2.
She's really known as a three-point shooter, so you could see the defense closing out long. Came out of their stance, and she was easily able to go around. Nice little pull-up.
Right, will go herself. The block in there came from Rowe. Allen, 3-ball misses. Off Izzy Wright, it's a Sydney ball. So Kyra Evans into the game, number 12 for the Flames, one of their young development players, the 18-year-old from Newcastle. Makes her second WNBL appearance. Froling wants to work on Davidson and draws the foul.
See, again, just that little bit of poise, and Panina came out of her stance here, just up, lifted up, took that fake, and smart by Keely Froling to go under and over, under and up.
One thing we have seen from all teams playing against the Boomers so far this season is they have gone hard at their bigs early to try to get them into foul trouble. Because they have that three-headed monster, as it were, with Kayla and Ezzy and Panina. Try to get a couple of them into foul trouble early, and it evens the balance up a little. Froling goes again on Davidson, and once again draws a foul.
Smart move, offensive rebound. Defense maybe not quite as set in the correct position. Guy won't be happy that they missed a block out. Shyla coming up with it on a foul shot.
So Keely Froling, 71% career free throw shooter. Makes the first and misses the second. Davidson. Nudge to the line. Pressure came from Hill. A good start to this second term from Sydney.
It's a very good start. Coach Hill will be very happy with that. They're really they're having a go at it. They're not taking a backward step at all.
Guy Malloy reacting, getting Kayla George back into the action. Hill. Loose ball just behind Nakasoglu, and it's tidied up by Madgen. So George back into the game, as I mentioned. Off to right. Tries to post up against the youngster, Kyra Evans. Turns, spins. Not the first and won't be the last to be beaten by that move.
You know, you feel for the youngsters coming on, and Kayla's going to go, yep, I'm going to take this at you right away.
It's a great learning experience, and that's an offensive foul. Moving screen on Lindsay Allen. So that's against the youngster Evans. Just on the move. So Kyra Evans, as I mentioned, 18-year-old from Newcastle, just finished year 12 at the Centre of Excellence in Canberra. Member of Australia's under-19 World Cup team this year. Lead New South Wales to the under-20 national title this year as well. And now getting the opportunity before she heads off to college to get a bit of experience against the pros. George, the long ball.
Great block out by Lauren Mansfield.
Nakasoglu. Froling wants to take George on. The reverse is good.
How influential has she been the start of this quarter?
Arching back to 10. Flames starting the second term in style. Allen wants to go herself. Park just opens up. And she's so good at just creating that space and capitalising for 2. The Heel Allen battle continues. Screen from Froling. Buys Heel some space. Izzy Wright brings it down the floor for Melbourne. Magbagor almost flat-footed. Lovely weighted ball to George. Tough to stop. Kayla George up to 8 points. Madgen leads the game with 11. Heel has 7 for the Flames. Nakasoglu off to Mansfield. Froling and Mansfield combined. Tries to turn right. Sticks to the task defensively and does enough. Now scrapping for it was Mansfield versus Magbagor. Such a competitor, such a warrior, Lauren Mansfield. Playing game number 151. Career started way back in 2012. One of their imports, Chelsea Dungy, back into the game. Number 23 there, bottom centre of screen. Super talented 24-year-old, originally from Oklahoma. Taking it pick 5 in the draft this year. So she is an elite, young, rising talent, Chelsea Dungey.
And they're going to rely on her to score heavily as well. We saw how great her defense was, and she's matched up on Tiffany Mitchell today, and so far she's got 6 points, but she's going to have to increase her scoring output with this team.
Shane Hill saying she's just still finding her niche offensively to where she fits. Emma Mahadi scores her first points in the WNBL.
That's exciting for her.
So margin of 11 as we approach the midway point of this second term. Mitchell, screen from George. Mitchell sets up and finishes. All class, Tiff Mitchell.
Love the pull-up, Jay.
Mansfield, here is Dungey. Really quick, clever, high IQ player. Purcell wants to go herself, loses her footing, and then the ball.
Halfway through that offensive set, the Sydney players were just sort of standing, waiting for somebody else to do something. They can't do that. You can't afford to be a spectator. You've got to keep cutting hard, keep moving. If it's off the ball, create something. But there were just a few too many spectators in that possession.
Mansfield brings the heat to Allen. Double teamed off to George. Mitchell back to Allen. And they set in the front court. George comes to the arc. Magbagor 2. Leaves some space behind for Ezzy to cut to, which he does now. Covered by Froling. Allen off to Madgen. Shot clock down to 4. Madgen will go herself. Sells the dummy on Mahadi. Can't get the shot to go. And Froling brings it down the court for the Flames. Mahadi versus Madgen. Magbagor read it well. Slick hands. He's got a 2-on-1. He's got Mitchell. Can go herself. Uses Mitchell. Doesn't finish. So Ezzy tidies it up. And another 2 for Magbagor. She's up to 7. Mansfield sees some space. Pulls it up. Can't get it to drop. Allen. Back the other way, same story, and again that elevation from Ezzy Magbagor, that vertical leap and the long arms, it's a tough combination to deal with.
Well, you see, in transition there, Lindsay can afford, or anybody, to shoot those when you've got Ezzy down low, ready to just, you know, get any vacuum up any of those boards that come her way and finish.
She's got 5 centimetres on Froling and 8 on Purcell, plus those long arms. Timeout called as we hit the midway point of the second term. Melbourne out to a 17-point lead, but it must be said, a much better second term from the Flames, particularly early. Laurie, they came out and at least interrupted Melbourne's flow.
They did. They put a bit of pressure on them. They got the ball moving themselves and got some good looks out there. It's just, how do they stop that height?
Rebounds, Melbourne up by 5, 19-14.
Both teams are actually taking care of the ball relatively well. 6 turnovers for Sydney and 4 for Melbourne.
Madgen leads the game with 11 points, 9 to Magbagor, 8 each to George and Mitchell. So Melbourne have put up 40 points and Lindsay Allen has only had 2. It just shows that on any given night, Laurie, they take what's given to them, and they've got a Guy Malloy said, really pleased with their selfless attitude. They don't care whose turn it is. Everyone gets a shot eventually, and you just play what's in front of you.
Well, we saw the other night how Lindsay Allen was able to just light it up from the perimeter, and Ezzy and Kayla are going, good on you, keep going with that. And tonight we can see that it's a different look. It's a focus to get that ball inside.
Hill's got 7 for Sydney, 6 to Froling, 5 to Mansfield, their leading scorers. So margin at 17 as we hit the midway point of quarter 2. Froling links up with Hill. Hardy to the left. Dungey to the right. Magbagor read the pass, but committed the foul in an eagerness to get to the ball. Second personal on Ezzy. Dungey. Purcell. Heel versus Scanlon. Lovely little hesitation move. Couldn't quite get the finish. And Scanlon puts on the Jets. Now retreats to George. Magbagor back to Scanlon. Just growing in confidence by the game. Lovely inside ball to George. Gets her own rebound. Can't get the finish. Purcell gets the board for Sydney. So Heel and Scanlon, two exciting young point guards. Augurs well for Australian basketball as this next generation start to come through and get extended court time against seasoned veterans. It's only going to help their development. Nice ball from Dungey to Purcell.
Well, they got there in the end. There were a lot of different options there, but they showed the patience, showed some poise, had a good two-man game happening there, and got a nice finish.
George sets a screen for Scanlon. Magbagor lurks at the back. Imagine George wide open. Doesn't make them pay. Heel and Scanlon continue their battle. Heel skips her way to the three-point line. Hands it off to Froling. Heavy on the shot. And now it's with Madgen. Purcell tries to slap it from behind. Madgen kicks it out. George, Scanlon. George with the mismatch on Mahadi. Won't drop. Rolling off to Dungey. Two Americans going at it. Dungey versus Mitchell. Shot is short. And Purcell slaps it away from Madgen.
So I like how Shane's on the sideline, and you can still, you know, yell. You can hear him saying, push the ball, on defense, get up, get up. So, you know, that's the style that they want to play. That's the style they need to play with a smaller, a shorter group.
So there is Shane Heel, as we mentioned earlier, really focusing on the teaching element of his role. It's a 3-year plan that he and team owner Paul Smith have put together. So they're going to show patience and they're going to build from the bottom. 9 of the 12 players are new to the club. So they really are stripping it back and building from scratch, Laurie. And if you are doing that, what are the fundamentals? What are the pillars that Shane Hill should be putting in place for the next 3 years?
Well, I think it's all about, for these young kids, is their fundamentals to make sure that, you know, and we can see already, I was so impressed with their defensive effort against the Canberra Capitals in that very first game. So I think defensively, the principles that he wants to instill in them, and then hopefully keep getting that and building your offensive skills, building those strings to your bow as a team.
You might be mentoring Shane because you've just about outlined his game plan perfectly. It's exactly what he's doing. He's working heavily on skill, on fundamentals, which when you get to the professional, sometimes you can overlook that, just assume everybody has those fundamental skills, but he's breaking it right down to basics, doing a lot of fundamental skill coaching, and it is defensive first. That's his focus. Let's build our defense, and we can work our offense off that.
There you go.
You should think about coaching, Laurie.
Exactly.
Former WNBL Coach of the Year, the great Laurie Chiswick, joining us in commentary tonight. Hope you're enjoying this game 1 of our Wednesday night WNBL doubleheader right here on KO. Coming up shortly, it's the Caps and the Spirit. Live from Canberra. From 7:30 Eastern as Scanlon gives it off to Magbagor. George looking for an option. That option is Mitchell. Thinks about the drive, kicks it out. Izzy for 3. Off the glass. Madgen tidies it up, keeps it alive. Scanlon. Shot clock down to 8. Mitchell being harassed. Got some space and converted. Just managed to work off Kira Rowe. Got herself a couple of steps. Drained the bucket. Mansfield again, cuts hard left. Beautiful ball to Froling. Did enough to draw the foul on Madgen. That'll be Tessa's second. Once again, as Laurie mentioned in the opening term, just run the shot clock a little bit. Try a few things. Put some pressure on the defense and things can happen.
Well, again, that was a really good look by Mansfield. Tess Madgen just had her head slightly turned so she couldn't see the ball on. And Keely Froling, I was watching that last possession. They're all cutting hard still. You know, there's only 2 minutes left in this half, yet they're still cutting hard and making the right cuts.
Sydney now 6 of 9 from the line. makes the second. Margin sits at 16 as we head towards the 2-minute mark of the second term. Again, the double team pressure on Allen. She's got to get rid of it. And she cannot. 8-second violation in the backcourt. That will please Shane Heal. Guy Malloy, not so much.
Yeah, well, exactly, and that's what we talk about. You know, if you can put that sort of pressure on and be active defensively and maybe try and force a team into a couple of mistakes.
And Allen might get the last laugh here. Purcell comes across and does foul.
Big thing defensively when you're not scoring at the other end is to be disruptive. You can't afford to just sit back and be reactive. You've got to be proactive. You know, and at least try and get your hands in some passing lanes.
So she's an 86% free throw shooter, career Lindsay Allen. She leads the league at the moment in field goal percentage and three-point percentage. Her shooting so far this season has been outstanding. So having said that now, she'll probably go none from 2, Laurie,
yeah.
Imagine, after I've pumped her up. Almost. She's too good even for the commentator's curse. She can overcome that.
Well, you talk about just pure shooting percentage. The Boomers actually have 4 players in the top 7 in field goal percentage. So they are overall shooting the ball really well.
Misses the second, so I was half right.
Half a curse.
See Lindsay Allen disappointed with herself. She sets a very, very high benchmark. She'll take on Shyla Heal here. Froling wants to take on Magbagor, kicks it out, Mahadi. Rowe rattles around, won't drop. Good board from Froling, she can't put it back. Right to Mitchell. So quick, Tiff Mitchell just loses her feet there, turns it over, and a chance for Hill. Quick break points here on offer for Sydney. Froling makes it pay, wants the foul as well.
Good running by Keely Froling right to that point of the rim, and Shyla to recognize that and get that little pass inside to her.
Tiff just losing her footing there. Shyla Hill ready to pounce. So the margin was 14 at quarter time. It's currently at 15. So the Flames have managed to stem the bleeding in this second term. Magbagor to George. Off to Allen. Really tightened things up, Sydney, in this second term. Made it a contest. Mitchell for 3. Froling slaps it out. Rowe the gather. Mansfield the run. Wants to take on Wright. Now backs out. Looks for some support. Froling's been in everything in the second term. Growing in confidence to take Magbagor on. Heel steps back. Gives herself some space. Shot clock to 10. Clever sidestep from Shyla Hill. Beautiful finish.
That is a great finish. That is so tough. Over the outreached hand, outstretched hand of Ezzy Magbagor.
Here's another look. The quick feet from Shyla Hill. And then the finish.
There was a good push by Izzy Wright straight away after that to get the ball up the court and get herself to the foul line, and a real quick answer.
So Izzy Wright, another who's getting a lot more minutes this year. Her second year in the Boomer system. She played at Logan Thunder back in 2012, had a season with Perth in 15, and then stepped away from basketball at the elite level to focus on her finance career. Joined the Boomers last season. She was linked up with assistant coach Paul Flynn at the Nuttawattie Spectres.
I thought Izzy was really great in the bubble last year. She produced some really good minutes when she was on the court. I really liked watching her.
She's blossoming with opportunities so far this season as the long 3 from Mansfield wouldn't go. Right off to Allen, who's now setting up for the final shot of the half. George will come across to put a screen on Mahadi. Now splits herself. Will receive from Mitchell. Defensive hand in there from Mansfield, enough to get it to the line and break up the play. It'll still be a Boomers ball with 2 seconds left on the clock.
Just a catch and shoot from this out of bounds play.
Allen. Is she going to go to Mitchell? She is. She'll get the shot up and make it. Beautifully worked play from the Boomers. adds another 2, and they head to the half with a 17-point break, Laurie. A lovely set play. So it is half-time at Qudos Bank Arena in Sydney. And Melbourne extend their 14-point lead at quarter time to 17 at the half. It's the Deakin Melbourne Boomers 47, the Sydney Uni Flames 30. So one thing the Flames would be very happy with as we check out the first half highlights is the Boomers 28 points in the first quarter, Laurie, just 19 in the second term. The Flames did manage to put the brakes on them a little bit.
Absolutely, and I think that came from their pressure type of defense. They were up the floor. They were doing a lot of switching. They had hands in passing lanes, just trying to be a little bit more disruptive. And the Boomers, whilst they got some wide open looks, as we can see there from Tess Madgen, they made life a little bit more difficult for them.
So many scoring avenues for the Boomers, as we've mentioned. They've legitimately got a starting 5, all of whom can have 20 plus on any given night. Early on, they really established that inside game, and that was where that early dominance came from.
Well, it did, and then I think that second quarter, whilst it wasn't as prevalent, they got some outside shots, some steals. But Keely Froling, we have to mention her in that second quarter. She was great.
Again, the Boomers' field goal percentage up at around that 50% mark. You talked about they've got 4 of the top 7 shooters in the league at the moment from the stripe as well, 10 from 11. Slight advantage in the rebounds as well, and at halftime they lead this one by 17 points. It's Melbourne 47, Sydney 30. Well, the big talking point in the WNBL this week was the bombshell that dropped yesterday when Basketball Australia suspended Canberra coach Paul Goris and referee Simon Cozier after they were found guilty of engaging in prohibited conduct by misusing inside information. An investigation by BA's Integrity Unit found that Cozier supplied Goris with confidential video clips of the Sydney Uni Flames training scrimmage that had been recorded for referee education purposes. An independent panel heard the case. They subsequently banned Cozier from all refereeing for the remainder of the WNBL season and suspended Paul Goris for all coaching activity until January 20 for using clips for opposition scouting. They've got 14 days to appeal that decision should they wish to do so. So, Laurie, going by the current WNBL fixture, that means Paul Goris will miss Canberra's next 5 matches, beginning with Game 2 of our doubleheader here this evening. The Flames fell to the Caps by 3 points in round 1. The panel found that no actual advantage was obtained by Goris or the Capitals, but the Flames have been pretty forthright in their opinions on it in social media over the last 24 hours.
Well, you're absolutely right. It's a bombshell. We've never had anything like this before in the WNBL, certainly as far as I can remember. And yes, it came out in the Age this morning that Paul Smith was understandably very upset about the whole thing, and that idea of bitterly disappointed that there was no actual advantage, you know, he found that to be distasteful and not right. So, you know, what they do, I don't know if there's any recourse for Cindy, but certainly from Canberra's point of view, a new coach now comes in. Kennedy Karima, yep. And so I guess they have a few days 14 days to contest the punishments, so to speak, or the sanctions. So I don't think we've heard quite the end of this yet. But yeah, really interesting for both camps, for Sydney, for it happening to, and now how Canberra are going to set up. With
Kennedy Kariyama, who is a very experienced WNBL coach in his own right, there was some talk around some questions raised as to why maybe Carly Wilson didn't get the head coaching job for the next 5 games. Yeah, there's been some comments on social media about that, because Carly's been with the club for a number of years now as an assistant coach. We know her as a great player, but she came out publicly and said that she has another job. She can't commit. She's happy to be an assistant coach. At this time, they need a coach that can commit full time, and Kennedy can do that. And so she's happy with her role, and that's what the club deserves, she said. So that clears that up as far as why she hasn't stepped into the coaching ranks. So we'll follow that story as it continues over the coming days and weeks, I would imagine. Paul Goris, as we mentioned, out for 5 games until January 20 as things currently sit. Well, as things currently sit, the Melbourne Boomers are on a 3-game winning streak, and they're heading towards a 4-game winning streak right now if things continue as they are at Qudos Bank Arena. And Laurie, we've mentioned a couple of times, they've really loaded up their starting 5 this season, and they've done it in a way that is very complementary. They've got 5 players, all with unique skill sets, but they fit together quite neatly.
Oh, I think the recruiting has been great, and we know Lindsay Allen. We've seen her, we've loved her before. But to now add Tiffany Mitchell, and we talked about that missing piece in the puzzle, they're really dynamic. They are hard to stop. However, there's just the 5 of them, and they play big minutes, but wow, they're impressive. And they play really well together. Their assists are phenomenal, the Melbourne Boomers. And I think they look like they're just really enjoying that culture that they've got together, and the way that Guy has put them on the court.
3 primary backup players at the moment. Panita Davidson as their backup big, Izzy Wright as their backup defensive stopper, and then Lily Scanlon as their backup point guard. So it is actually important for the Boomers to be getting minutes into these players, because you don't know what's coming down the road, do you?
Well, that's right. And I think those are 3 players that fit those different positions. So they've got a big, a mid, and a guard, just in case something happens, foul trouble, all those things. And they are getting minutes into them in these last few games, which as you said, is very important, because you just don't know down the track what happens.
Kayla George taken on the leadership role as captain, solo captain this year. Maddie Garrick was the co-captain. Obviously, Maddie's gone to the Bendigo Spirit. We'll see her in action in Game 2 of our doubleheader tonight. Kayla, already a 3-time WNBL champion. She's just about achieved everything there is to achieve in the game in her years at the Townsville Fire. And now she's hell-bent on adding a 4th title in Guy Malloy's final year. They've got a very special relationship, Kayla and Guy. And there's been something, I think, about Guy announcing his departure at the start of the season that's almost just clicked everyone and focused everyone into gear to say, hey, this is our last dance.
Well, I asked Kayla that question, how she felt when she heard the news from Guy Malloy, and she said it was really emotional for Ezzy, Tess, and her, because they've been at the Boomers with Guy 4 years for Kayla. And so they've got this history, they've got this culture. She said she's there because of Guy, so it was emotional. And although she said, we can't think about it all the time. Like, we've got to just get on with the season, but I'm sure it's really something special for this last season.
A lot of games on the road. Here's Kayla. Anyone who's ever spent any time at all with Kayla, there's Havana, their little sausage dog. In fact, I think that's the second one they've got. Got the 2 Huskies. And now the 2 sausage dogs as well. Kayla originally from Queensland. She lives up there in between seasons, comes down to Melbourne, spends the months down here. And she seems to be loving life right now.
Well, she isn't. It's just the smile and the way she is with those dogs. It's reflecting in the way that she's playing. She's, you know, she wants to lead this team. She wants to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And we talked about it might be her scoring 25 points, but then it might be her facilitating somebody else and the other part of that, the equation, somebody else scoring. So she's really enjoying life right now, and she's a character of our competition. She's, you know, a bit silly sometimes, which we like, but yeah, and it's really good to see how well she's playing.
Let's switch our focus to the Sydney Uni Flames. Blown out early in this game, jumped in the first couple of minutes by the Melbourne Boomers, but they managed to find their feet as the first half went on, which would have pleased Shane Hill, no doubt.
Absolutely. You know, he would have talked about certain things at quarter time and gone, you know, forget about the score. We need to concentrate on this and up our ante defensively. And I thought they did a really good job of that. And then that maybe that helped them just relax a little bit offensively, because often that scoreboard pressure, as we saw in the first half, oh, we've got to get some scores up. So one pass shot not going in, that puts more pressure on you. So I think he really settled them at quarter time, and they played much better in that second quarter.
And they have had to adjust on the fly. They lost their first import, Leona Odom, with an Achilles pre-season very late. So she was going to be their major tall focus alongside Keely Froling. And then they lost Steph Watts after round 1, who was going to be one of their primary guards. So when you lose a couple of players like that you're starting to build around right on the verge of the season, it makes life pretty difficult, doesn't it? Particularly if it's a tall you're losing and you don't have one to replace them with.
Oh, so hard. I know that they're trying to get a replacement for Stephanie Watts right now in another bigger player, but it's so hard at this time of year. But yes, you put your roster together with those, you know, he wanted to build the team around a big, and you need a big in this competition. And then Stephanie Watts was coming in, and Dungee was really, you know, an extra because of Odom. So it hasn't panned out at all the way Shane has originally planned. But again, it's about teaching this young group, getting them to do those fundamentals, learning from their mistakes. I'm sure they get tape that's cut up and they'll go, now look at this mistake here and what we can do. So
there's Shyla Hill pulling up a little bit sore against Townsville last week. As I mentioned in the call, she just hasn't played a lot of basketball. She's taken a pick 8 in the 21 draft, as we know, by Chicago. Only played the 4 games while she was there. So coming into round 1 this season, she'd only played 1 game in 349 days.
Well, that's a lot of time missed out of basketball, and I know she was in quarantine for some of that time, but Shyla is a competitor. She's a flat-out warrior out there, and she's got a massive ticker, and she is just gonna keep going. And I think she'll just get better and better as each game goes on.
For those who wonder about the dynamic of father and daughter, they actually linked up when Shyla was just 14 years of age. She made her WNBL debut at the South East Queensland Stars back in 2015 at the age of 14. That team was together for 1 season. Erin Phillips, Rachel Jarry, a number of other high-profile players. And Shyla was on that team as a 14-year-old being coached by her dad. So very natural for the two of them. As we start the second half, it's the Boomers by 17 points. Allen to George. Inside to Magbegor. And they look to start the second half as they started the first, but it won't drop. Purcell gives it off to Mansfield, confronted by Allen, steps through one. Lovely little find to Purcell. Well-worked play from the two veterans.
What a great pass from Mansfield. Just dropped it. The timing was perfect.
Magbegor off to Madgen, and now Allen. George to the corner. Madgen thinks about the drive, draws Ezzy, hands it off, and makes 2 more.
Smart by Kalani Purcell not to even think about fouling that or going up, because it was just very easy basket for Ezzy.
Heel, deep 3, won't go. She's now 2 for 10 from the field tonight, Shyla Hill. Mitchell, held up by Froley. Magbegor at the top of the arc.
Oh, Izzy did looked the wrong way. You've got to look inside when you get the ball at that high post area.
Allen against Dungy. Froley comes in for support. Madgen from the corner. And you hear Shane Hill say, get it, go, let's go. Wants to put some speed on the game. Shyla Hill looks to do exactly that. Wanted someone to cut through. Dungy held up on her run. So Mansfield will set. Dungy still out on the left, open, won't go. Boomers ball. George to Allen. Back to Kayla. Wide open is Mitchell.
Tiffany Mitchell.
Just cut from the right corner along the baseline and found herself in an acre of space.
Just a little flex cut action, which the Boomers are doing a great job of reading what the defense is giving them in that flex action.
Heel. Such busy feet. Froling against George. Draws a foul. Laurie, get you to explain to our viewers the flex cut.
So flex cut is when, or the flex action is some screening action. So you've got a screen set at the low post where a player cuts through off of that, and the player that set the screen now receives another screen coming up from the top. So that's the basic movement of it, but there's lots of many reads from it. So it's a lot of player movement, a lot of screening, and a lot of reading of what's open.
Froling misses the second. Magbegor off to Allen. Long ball cut off, nicely read by Purcell. They've now got the advantage. Dungy the show and go. Margin at 16. Madgen will hold up and wait for support. Allen to George. Madgen called for it long, and once again, Purcell, 2 intercepts in a row. Mansfield behind the back. Party time, beautiful move, and Froling finishes.
That's good chemistry with that, to know that she's gonna come up behind. And great vision by Lauren Mansfield.
So a really good minute here for Sydney. They're back within 14. Mitchell drives, kicks it out to Madgen. In some space, Magbegor deep 2. Stops the run. Mansfield to Dungy.
I think we can excuse the Boomers if they're a little bit weary. They've played a lot of games in a very short number of days.
Third game in 5 days for them, all on the road. Purcell back out to Heel. Just permanently in motion, Shyla Heel. Low percentage shot there is short. Mitchell with speed. Takes on the defence. He's got Madgen open from the corner. And again, you hear Shane Hill saying, go, go, push. Shyla does exactly that. Dungy's open for 3. George stripped of it. Good active hands from Mansfield, was all ball. Froling looks to lay it in. No foul call. George did enough. So Sydney again ratcheting up the pressure here on the Boomers. Margin sits at 16, with 17 at the half. So yet to really cut into the deficit in a meaningful way, but at least serving it up to the Boomers right now. Allen shows to Dungy, finds McMagor. Izzy up to 15 points, leads the game. Mitchell has 14, Madgen 11. While Froling has 12 for Sydney and the ball. Steps past Madgen, runs into Mitchell and still makes the play.
Not quite sure how she got that, but you know what? That's a good lesson. You keep your eyes on your target, get that shot released, and you never know.
Again, Madgen from her favourite spot in the corner this time. She cuts through, gives it to George for 3. Mansfield has been working overtime in this one. And again, another beautiful find. Purcell can't finish on this occasion. Lauren Mansfield showing us some vision in this game.
There is a lot of up and back for both teams with not a lot of reward. Oh, nice pass, nice vision by Kayla George. Again, we see Tiff Mitchell making that read. Her defender had her head turned, just a quick slash to the basket. Really like watching Tiff Mitchell.
Mansfield, deep 3. Air ball.
That's what Sydney's really lacking right now, is a real consistent three-point shooter. Perimeter that really has to stretch the defense. Their shooting percentage is just, it's very low. I mean, right now it's 14% from the three-point line. And
3 for 21.
Yeah, they just lack that.
Particularly without that big inside presence, the get out of jail inside ball. Exactly. They don't have that option. Davidson's into the game for George. Allen remains. Scanlon steps in as well. Allen, little jumper. Elevates so well, gets herself so balanced. Hasn't had a lot of offensive work to do tonight in terms of scoring. Just 5 points for Lindsay Allen. She's played more of a facilitator role this evening. Hardy back into the game for Sydney. Purcell. Heel. Back to Mahadi. Purcell in the corner. Shot clock down to 3. Now 2. Stripped of it by McMagor. Off to Allen. So both sides in desperate need of a breather, as you mentioned, Laurie. There has not been a lot of stoppages in this third term. It's been continuous up and back. Those starters for Melbourne have played some pretty serious minutes, as you mentioned. Lindsay Allen averaging 32 minutes a game. Izzy McMagor averaging 29 minutes a game. Tiff Mitchell is at 32. And Kayla George also at 32. So Guy hasn't been shy on putting his starters out there and leaving them out there to try and fast-track their development and their chemistry as a group. The more you play together as a unit, the quicker you develop.
Well, especially at the start of the season, you know, if you can get that cohesiveness and that reading between players early on, that's going to hold you in good stead. Then again, you put in a couple of those Izzy Wrights, Panita Davidson, and they're still playing valuable minutes when they have to. So, as we said at the start, they're the informed team and they're looking good.
Here's Shane Hill. No surprise, you're going to hear one word from Shane Hill, it's attack. And that's the mindset that he's got with this young team. Wants them to be fearless, wants them to be confident, wants them to take anyone on at any time. And that's a great culture to build at a young club. fear no one.
Well, attack off the dribble. You know, I like that. That's not then relying on just our three-point shooting, our perimeter shooting, which isn't happening today. So let's see if we can get ourselves to the foul line, attack them. It's fine to attack them and then kick it out to somebody ready to shoot, because then you've shifted the defense and you've got some rebounders there. But let's see if they take note of that next time they're on offense.
Davidson gathered it in to Magbagor and Scanlon. And then Scanlon once again. Shot clock down to 6. Will she go herself? Gee, that's a nice little step on Shyla Hill. Lily Scanlon showing some glimpses. Looked right, went left, and finished beautifully. Beck Pizzi into the game for Sydney. Spent the last 4 years at Dandenong and the Flyers. Moved to Sydney this season. Hill steps back on Scanlon, wants a bit of payback, this time to Froling. She'll take on Magbagor as she has all night long. Lovely board from Mahadi and the putback. Scanlon doubled. Mahadi almost forced the turnover. Whistle off the ball. There's Lily Scanlon. She would have enjoyed that move on Shyla Hill. Year-old played a junior ball at Bulleen Boomers, went to the AIS, then a year at the Caps, went to Gonzaga, won a conference title there this year. Was in the championship team when the Caps won that title in 1920. Davidson got in a good position, couldn't finish. Mitchell almost the steal on Pizzi. Hill and Scanlon. This little battle starting to pick up a little. The two youngsters going at it. Lovely find, Hill to Pizzi, and she scores.
That's good. Beck Pizzi rolled straight away to the basket. Shyla Hill recognized that they had sort of doubled her and was able to make that pass.
And once again, they trap the Boomers in the backcourt. They double-teamed Allen. It's a double-team play that they just pull out of their pocket every now and again, and so far it's worked twice.
I think Shane would be really happy about that. Not so much Guy. You've got such talented guards out there. He wouldn't be happy that they've had a couple of front-court violations.
No, he doesn't look particularly happy. Mind you, Guy not one for smiling on the sideline too often, is he? Pretty good poker face from the veteran. Mansfield against Scanlon. Elevates, but can't nail the shot. Scanlon with her speed wants to take on the defence. Rowe works into the corner. Mitchell, Madgen. George sets up, now rolls off. Back to Madgen, thought about the give back to George. Ball movement again from the Boomers here. Happy to send it through hands. Scanlon on the end of it. Madgen comes in against Mansfield, the veteran. Well, two of them, but Mansfield wins it. Lovely little no-look pass to Froling, and Lauren Mansfield has had some wonderful assists this evening.
Has she ever? I mean, her teammates should be pointing and thanking her every time. That's the timing of it, and the speed with which she's delivering it is perfect.
Pizzi with the defensive play on Mitchell. Lauren Mansfield with silver service this evening.
Just a little no-look pocket pass, thank you very much.
So margin sits at 16, it was 17 at the half, so once again it was 14 at quarter time. So a lot for the Flames to like in these last two quarters. They've really hung with the Boomers. Scanlon, Madgen, Scanlon, beautiful position. Can't get it to go. Madgen scrapping under the basket. And you can see that Scanlon and Madgen were on the same page. Scanlon just backed away, gave herself some space. Madgen found her, but couldn't finish.
Tess Madgen is one of those players that I describe as the glue of a team. So she, you know, I mean, she's got 11 points today, but she just, you want her on the court. She's got a very high IQ. She runs things, she sees things for her teammates, and she just keeps that calming influence for everybody.
And she's now got that connector role that probably suits her even better. Last year she was forced to play the point a lot, Laurie. They didn't have Lindsay Allen.
Yes.
And it didn't really suit her game. She's more suited and natural to the role she's playing now. George, Mitchell, back to Kayla. That misses everything. Panina fights for it. Back to Madgen. Mitchell, long three, almost banked it in. George keeps it alive again into the final minute. Madgen will have another go from range, and this time they hit it. Once again, they managed to just kick the lead back out again. They've done it late in quarters a couple of times this evening. Heel and one. So Shyla Heel in a double figure. She's up to 11 with a free throw to come.
Nice touch on that finish, that floater. Made it look very easy.
Now has 12. Froling has 16 for the Flames. Equal game high with Mitchell, who has 16. Again, they try to run that backcourt trap. This time the Boomers get free. Madgen's 3-ball off the iron. And Heel now holds it up for the final play of the third term. She's working on Mitchell. Now the handover. Davidson takes the defensive responsibility. Heel will fancy her mobility against Davidson. Got the mismatch. Classy finish to the third term from Shyla Heel. And the margin at three-quarter time is back to 14 points as it was at the first change. It was Melbourne by 14 at the quarter, by 17 at the half. And as we turn for home in game one of our Wednesday night WNBL doubleheader, it's the Melbourne Boomers 64, the Sydney Uni Flames 50. Times for all basketball fans with the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup, bringing the world's best players to our own backyard. Next September, the Opals will be part of the 12-team action, vying for a world title at Sydney Olympic Park. And for first access to tickets, sign up now at womensworldcup.basketball. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. What a real shot in the arm for women's basketball to have the World Cup on our shores next year.
Oh, absolutely. And you just, every game that I commentate, I look at the players and I go, okay, who's going to put their hand up? Who's going to be there? Because they would all want to be playing in front of their family and friends.
And an interesting time with the Boomers, a bit of generational change potentially. Some of those next generation players in the squad right now, like Shyla Heel, like Jade Melbourne, some of those youngsters up and coming, knocking on the door.
Definitely, and especially in that guard position, I think you know, there's some. Maddie Rotchie's another one that will be putting their hand up, and it'll be hotly contested.
Lauren Nicholson, another who's had some great form over the last couple of years in the WNBL. So the Flames have managed to hang with the Boomers over the last two quarters. It was 14 points at quarter time. It's still 14 at three-quarter time. The Boomers have got it out to 20 a couple of times, and the Flames have managed to haul it back in.
Well, they actually won that quarter by 3 points, Sydney, so good signs for them.
As we start the final term, game one of our Wednesday night doubleheader here on KO. The Caps and the Spirit to come from 7:30 Eastern. Rowe to Mansfield. He's put on a show tonight, Lauren Mansfield. Super hands. Heel takes on Allen. To draw Lindsay into motion and made contact.
Yeah, she anticipated she was going that way, but just didn't have her feet set across in front of her so that she didn't collect her right down the middle of her body.
So Mansfield and Heel. It's quite a guard combination to start building around. Haven't seen a lot of Dungy tonight. But you can throw her into the mix as well as the season goes on. And Mahadi's the new face. McBagor with a contested rebound.
Get into a Flames fans.
Allen running the point.
Defense.
George. Mitchell cuts. Gets open, drives to the basket. Just short. Pizzi off to Heel. Quick ball movement to Mahadi. Heel and Mansfield once again. Been in everything offensively for the Flames. Mansfield to Heel for three.
Yeah, Mansfield's been really influential in this game for all her teammates and what she's creating for them.
McBagor. Is he right? Back in the action. George trying to set a screen. Shot clock down to 4. George with the height advantage, but called for the travel. They collapsed in on Kayla. It was 3-on-1. Such complementary styles, Lauren Mansfield and Shyla Heel. They play that guard role very differently. One's facilitator first in Mansfield and the other score first in Heel. And you put them together, they can be quite the dynamic combination.
And as you mentioned, what a great foundation to start building with.
Mahadi. Heel. Really deep three is good. Shyla starting to warm up.
She is.
And the margin is into single figures. It's an 8-point game with 8 minutes to play. And here come the Flames. The Boomers have managed to extinguish these little runs a couple of times this evening. Can they do so again? McBagor, Mitchell, suddenly some urgency in the game. Allen to Madgen. Mansfield the pressure. Mitchell, the long ball is just out. But George with the rebound wants to go at Pizzi and one. Big play from the skipper when her side needed it.
Maybe there's a little bit of scoreboard pressure now going on to the Boomers, and they'll find that. But that was a great pickup by Kayla. She recognized Pizzi was on her. Pizzi's just come on, you know, hasn't played a whole lot of minutes. But what a shot by Shyla Heel. You're right, she is really finding her rhythm.
Underdone, as we mentioned, coming in to the season. Hardly played at all in the last 12 months. Starting to get her touch, and Kayla converts the three-point play. So the margin sits at 9. Purcell. Heel. Allen paying her close attention now. Shyla starting to warm up. Margin at 11. Correction. Purcell, the long 2. Heel gets on the end of it. Shot clock to 10. Wants to take Allen on. Goes herself. Little hook. Won't go. Purcell pulls in another board. Look away pass for Heel. Hits another 3. 8-point game. Shyla Heel up to 23 points in the blink of an eye. And a little soft foul there on Kalani Purcell. Throws her head back in frustration.
Well, it was, because there was only 1 second left for them to get it over. They might have got another shot, you know, a violation.
So a little bit of pressure on the Boomers here. As he mentioned, it's their 3rd game in 5 days. They were comfortably in control, led by 20. And as we mentioned at the start of the night, Laurie, if you switch off mentally even just a fraction in this league, you'll get punished.
I was just thinking that exact same thing. Doesn't matter who you're playing, you've got to be switched on for the full 40 minutes.
So Allen to McBagor. Can the Boomers switch on again? Mitchell, 16 points for her. A little foul called there on Shyla Heel. So the Boomers just managing to slow the game down a little in the last minute or so. A couple of fouls called, just take a little bit of the heat out of it. Slow down Sydney's momentum a touch. Run some full sets. Deny Sydney the ball and get control of the game back once again. McBagor to Allen, and they do exactly that. They're going to run the clock right down. Allen. Deep 3 from Lindsay is good. And like good teams do, the Boomers respond with back-to-back baskets, marching back out to 11.
Kayla dove inside, and Ezzy was looking for her, and she attracted a few defenders and left Lindsay Allen wide open at that 3-point line.
Hardy drives, pops it out to Froling. Short, frustration for Pizzi, had it and lost it. Again, just some poison experience here from the Boomers. Sydney coming at them. Boomers managed to take some clock, hold the ball, make a couple of shots, Laurie, and you can just settle things down a touch.
They're so experienced. They've got veterans on the court that have you know, played in close games, played in situations like this.
So the challenge for Sydney is just to maintain that pressure. Lovely ball from Lindsay to Ezzy Magbagor. The Boomers back out to a more comfortable 13-point margin. Can the Flames come again? A Hardy to Pizzi. They want it in the hands of Heel, but just a loose ball. And you can just sense the atmosphere at Qudos Bank Arena. It was buzzing moments ago. The Boomers have managed to take the crowd out of the game and get the tempo back on their terms.
They haven't looked panicked at all, the Boomers. So, what, they got it back to 8.
Got it to, did they get it to 5?
5 maybe? Well, but they're leaders, and then really the whole starting 5 just sort of looked really comfortable. All right, that's okay. We've got these looks. We can look inside. We can get Lindsay Allen outside. Not a problem.
So when have the Flames looked their best tonight, Laurie? What's Shane saying to them right now?
I think they've looked their best when they've just kept being disruptive defensively. They've sort of been in a little bit of a matchup zone where they're trying to keep a few of their bigs, if you can call them bigs, inside, and their guards up top, and just try to slow them down a little bit, at least make contested shots for the Boomers. And when the ball does go inside, they've been really trapping. And offensively, I thought they've moved the ball a little bit well with the facilitator of Lauren Mansfield to everybody.
Just the 5 points herself. She's had 7 assists. And as we keep saying, working really nicely off Shyla Heel, who's had 23 points. So Heel's done most of the scoring, and Mansfield's just been, well, she's been the butler tonight, just serving it up for her teammates time and time again.
Well, she is, and she loves that role too, and she's great at it. So we'll see what happens in the last this last bit of this game. But I'd like to see Lauren Mansfield continue what she's doing, because it's nice to watch.
32 last Saturday. Lauren Mansfield made her debut in this league back in 2012. She's played at Adelaide, Southeast Queensland with Shane Heel. And the Caps, then Perth. This is her second year at Sydney. A well-respected veteran of this competition. Playing game number 151 tonight. Ezzy Magbagor quickly becoming a young veteran. She's playing game number 81. Still just 22 years of age.
Well, when I was talking to Kayla, she said this is her 14th WNBL season, 17th as a pro. She played overseas for a few years, but hasn't missed a season.
It's been a remarkable career. And she's not done yet. She's playing just about as well as she ever has. Keely Froling off to Heel. Shot clock down to 7. Tough shot from there. Well done, Froling. Won the rebound. She was outnumbered. Back out to Rowe, who makes the 3. And Sydney look to rally once again. It's been a plucky performance from the Flames.
It hasn't, and I really like to see, you know, an underdog team.
There's that trap again. It almost worked. But if you could find your way through, you get the outnumber.
It's what I was saying is it's good to see a team that's a bit of an underdog and started off slowly, to keep fighting the whole game and not giving up, not letting this blow out at all, and really, you know, taking it at them and not being fearful at all, like you mentioned.
Speaking of taking it at them, that's Tiff Mitchell's modus operandi. And he dropped that first game to the Caps by 3 points, did the Sydney Flames. So they've been highly competitive so far in their starts. They might finish the night at 0-3, but they're showing much better form than that.
Well, and if you can go with the theory that you're going to get better and better because you're such a new group, you have to look at Melbourne, and their core has been together for a long time, and we can see Shyla Heel is pretty slow in getting up from that bump from Tiffany Mitchell. She's played big minutes tonight too, Shyla. 23 points right now.
There's another look. The power of Tiffany Mitchell.
Oh,
and the knee.
Yeah, that would hurt.
So Mitchell to the line. He's had 16 points. Unusual miss for
So
the elite free throw shooter.
Tech foul must have been called on somebody.
Yeah.
Now shooting 2.
So now she gets the 2 shots, the one for the tech foul and then the 2 for the play itself. Just goes about her business, doesn't she? And you suddenly look up and she's had 15 points.
Yeah.
She's that sort of player. She's now got 18 on the night, 2 behind Izzy Magbagor, who's got 20 and 9 rebounds. It's Mansfield again. This time goes herself. Off the hands of Magbagor, back out to Mansfield. Barking directions, wants some movement. A lot of traffic to get through, and somehow she did.
Well, you see, she didn't want a screen. She recognized she had Ezzy Magnamore on her. She's got more foot speed than Ezzy, so clear out. Don't come and set a screen. She read that beautifully.
Mitchell lays it off to Allen. They set up through Magbagor. George back to Allen. Magbagor at the top of the arc. Imagine's got Mitchell in the corner. She's got George in the inside. They can't beat the shot clock. Good pressure again from Sydney.
Good idea. Kayla cutting to that high post area. Pass from Imagine and looked straight away to Ezzy. It's just they were too slow to get into that action.
Heel back into the action. And straight into the action.
Now that is the Shyla Heel we saw last year in the bubble for Townsville.
25 points for Shyla. What a second half she's played.
Still time, Flames fans. Defense.
11-point margin, 3 minutes left. Can the Flames get a couple of stops here? Down to 3 seconds. Mitchell, difficult shot. George can't control it. Sydney ball. Another opportunity to get it back inside single figures. Mansfield goes herself, accelerates on Mitchell, can't quite get it to drop, but will go to the line and shoot 2.
There is still life in the Flames.
They have not given up.
No.
Lauren Mansfield to the stripe.
She's been so impressive tonight, Lauren Mansfield. Exactly the sort of leader this young team needs. An on-court general. Such a hard worker, set a great standard and a great tone, great culture for the group. So Allen, they've had some issues in the backcourt, and there's another. Allen's been a little rattled by the double team pressure tonight.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that the Boomers haven't adjusted as quickly as you would have expected.
So another opportunity opens up. It's a 9-point game. Down to 6 seconds on the shot clock. Can Mansfield get it to 6? She can! It's a 6-point game with just under 3 minutes left.
Wow. And that was one thing Shane talked about, was making sure that his team believed every time they went into a game, even if they were the underdogs, have that belief that they could get it done. And right now, wow.
The veteran steps up again, puts the team on her shoulders. She's up to 12 points. And now it's the Boomers looking over their shoulder. The psychology of the game, Laurie, suddenly flips with just under 3 minutes remaining. Now it's Melbourne looking for the finish line.
Isn't momentum a wonderful thing?
Or a terrible thing, depending on which side of it you're on. Guy Malloy doesn't think it's too good right now.
Exactly. But, you know, that's the nature of our sport. You can be down and the momentum swings and another team comes back. So
what is his message right now?
Oh, I think it would be to settle. Let's look inside. That's where we've had our success. Get that ball moving through hands and handle their press. Don't be afraid of it.
Shyla Heel has transformed this game in the second half. She's up to 25 points. She's now 4 of 8 from 3-point range. And the Flames believe it's a 6-point game. 3 minutes left. Can they pin them in the backcourt again? Allen determined to get it to the halfway, into the front court. George. Where's the movement coming from the Boomers? Scanlon's into the game. Mitchell Magbagor wants to take on Froling. Froling does well. Waved away, travel. And another opportunity for the Flames here. Plenty of time on the clock for them.
Big possession right now for Sydney.
Huge, isn't it? This next basket enormous. Froling with the reverse, and it goes!
Oh.
It's a 4-point game. Just over 2 minutes to play.
They're right up pressing still.
Mitchell into the front court. To the Boomers now to settle things down and try to run their full clock. They need a score on the end of it though. George to Allen. Sees an opportunity, goes herself. What a move, Lindsay Allen, when her side needed it most.
That is all class from Lindsay Allen.
What a game this has turned out to be. Highly entertaining. It's a 6-point game. Flames will come again. Rowe, Mansfield steps out. 10 seconds left. Mahadi goes to Froling, wants to work on Allen, and draws a foul.
That'll be a foul on the Boomers. Number 15, Lindsay Allen, her third.
Oh.
Here's the reverse from Keely Froling.
Only the third team foul on the Boomers.
She's got 18 points tonight, Froling, and then Allen responds with that. High quality at both ends. Healy inbound. Magbagor read it well. That's a big play from Ezzy Magbagor. Scanlon, Magbagor, they can take some time off the clock here.
They need to take some time off. Use that 24 seconds.
Once again, their experience. It was good heads-up play from Scanlon, who could have been tempted to go herself. They run it down to 5. Will Allen go herself? She's got Mitchell. Wants to set the feet. Steps inside Mansfield. Baseline 2. Doesn't go. Heel needs to. She gets to the 3-point arc. Scanlon closes in on it to deny the long-range shot. So she goes to the hoop herself and draws the foul.
Can you believe we are looking at this scoreline right now? A 4-point scoreline? The chance to cut it to 3? Nice little hesitation by Shyla Heel on that, because you have to absolutely recognize that she's a 3-point shooter and she's been hitting some of this second half, and then just her tenacity to take it to the basket.
Can't make the extra. So it stays at 4 points as we hit the final minute of game 1 of this doubleheader. Allen will hold it up again. George. Mitchell cuts baseline. Allen wants to go herself, gets to the free throw line, can't get it to drop. Still time here for Sydney. Heel will push it up the floor. Wants to take on Madgen. Quick feet again. Can she get a shot? Kicks it out. Mahadi, big moment for the rookie. The 29-year-old can't quite get it to drop.
She needed to shoot it though, because it's that 4-point deficit, so they only have 2 possessions. They need a 3 and a 2.
The visiting Melbourne Boomers 79, giving it up for a Brydens Warriors Sydney Uni Flames 75.
So it'll be interesting to see if Guy Malloy in this last 29 seconds elects to move the ball forward or to take more time off the clock, but risk that full court pressure that they haven't been handling that well.
And you've seen a little bit of hesitation the last couple of movements down the floor. They've had the experience to run the shot clock down, but the key to that is you still need to score at the end of it, don't you?
You do, that's right. And I'm sure Guy will be drawing up a play, a very specific play that he wants his team to look at. And I would think it would be an inside look, and if that look's not there, then kick it out to a shooter.
So 29 seconds on the clock. A real test for the Boomers. Their 3rd game in 5 days to close out their pre-Christmas road trip. After this, they've got 4 or 5 days off to rest and recover, and then get back into practice ahead of their next game on the 30th. But they've just got to get through these next 29 seconds.
I was say, if they can get through this, they won't care what the score line is, as long as the big W is at the end of it.
There'd be some pretty fatigued ladies out there at the moment. So 14 seconds on the shot clock. Allen has it. Mansfield gives away the reach-in foul.
Flames foul, number 33, Lauren Mansfield, her third personal. Flames are over the limit.
So that's a costly little reach in.
Lindsay Allen to the line, shooting 2.
Had to send Lindsay to the line to stop the clock and then hope that she doesn't make both of these. Sits at 5. Big basket there from Allen. 6-point game, 26 seconds left. Flames will have possession.
So I'm sure they'll advance the ball and try and set up a quick hitter 3-point play. And then press, try and get a turnover so that then they have one more chance for another 3. So
inside the final 2 minutes of the quarter, coach has the option of backcourt or front court, Laurie. And as you say, in this situation, put it in the front court to get it in quick.
Yes, well, you could see Guy did that last time too as well. Just, I think, more, not so much the quickness for him, but just that full court pressure. But certainly Shane, I'm sure, will advance it and have set something up for a quick 3-point shot for Shyla or Lauren Mansfield.
And then they need a stop and another basket.
And conversely, the Boomers would be talking about switch everything. Just don't get caught up in a screen. Do not let them shoot a 3-point shot. So I think we'll see that happening here as well.
.26 seconds left on the clock. It's been an extraordinary second half of basketball. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have here on KO. And we're not quite halfway in our doubleheader. Still got game 2 to come tonight from 7:30 Eastern. It's the Caps and the Spirit.
Here, Rowe might be a bit of a decoy. She's a good 3-point shooter.
Let's see what they run. Mahadi to the corner for Mansfield. Madgen closed up enough to stop the 3-point shot. Heel, step back, it's a deep 2. And Allen is fouled.
Well, it was a good foul straight away. So as soon as it hit her hand, she fouled her to stop the clock.
See Shyla Hill trying to step back to make it a 3. She just couldn't quite get there.
And that's where the Boomers are going, you know what, if we have to give away a 2-point shot, we will. Not that you want to, but certainly not a 3.
We can see Madgen was so close and so quick to close up on Shyla when she first took possession and just take that 3 ball away from her. So Allen back to the line. .86% free throw shooter in her WNBL career. Makes the first. It's a 5-point game. There's 19 seconds left. Rowe advances it quickly. Mansfield wants to set the feet. Had a little bit more time maybe than she realised. Madgen grabs it. She'll be fouled. Mansfield's step move actually got Madgen completely off balance. She had the chance to set the feet.
And as you say, I don't think she realized that she actually could have, if we can see this on the vision now, I mean, maybe she was trying to think, I'll get into Tess as she's in the air, and then I'll get to shoot 3 shots.
Instead, it's Madgen at the other end who shoots 2 more and could put this one to bed.
I really give credit to both teams because I know that the Melbourne Boomers are fatigued. They've had to play this out hard. But how plucky and adventuresome have the and brave had the Sydney Flames been?
A lot to like for both these teams. It's been a fantastic contest to watch. And as we said, Flames might be 0-3, but they're showing they're a much better side than that.
And there's no question that they are going to get some wins on the board and upset some teams, and you have to be ready to play.
Mahadi, heel for one last shot. Madgen tidies it up. And it did come without a scare, but it's a perfect pre-Christmas road trip for the Deakin Melbourne Boomers. 3 games for 3 wins. They move to 4-1 on the season, despite having played 4 of their 5 games on the road. They've now got 5 days to rest up over Christmas before regrouping to prepare for another away fixture against the Adelaide Lightning on December 30. The Flames, as we mentioned, slipped to 0-3. They've now got a week off to regroup before hosting the Spirit next Wednesday night. What a fantastic and entertaining contest that was.
Oh my goodness, and you look at the scoring, like we talked about the big five for Melbourne, they were all in double figures. Shai Lahil came to light in that second half, 29 points, and was really quiet in that first half.
27-19, the Flames in the final term as they came rattling home. Some fatigue, no doubt, kicking in for the Boomers. Their third game in 5 days on the road. They managed to hang on and get the job done. They moved to 4-1, but lots for the Flames fans to take away from this one.
And while Sky Malloy and the players may right now sort of feel, oh, you know, we didn't finish that all, I think they did a great job. I think they got that lead early and they needed to. They played together as a team, and they should be happy with just where they're sitting on the ladder going into this Christmas break for them.
So the Boomers are 4-1 as we head courtside to Ezzy Magbagor. Ezzy, thanks for your time. Jason Bennett alongside Laurie Chiswick. Well, that turned out to be a tight one, didn't it?
Yeah, it definitely was. I think, you know, with Sydney, they're a team that's going to, you know, stay at it. And I think we kind of let them take, you know, the front foot in the last quarter, and we can't do that. So they did a great job. Credit to them for staying with it. And I think we'll take this into the break and be better after it.
Ezzy, you've played a lot of games in the last few days, and we've been commenting about that. Did fatigue sort of strike in the last quarter because Sydney really took it at you hard?
No, I think I said, you know, like I said, Sydney are a great team and they're going to take it at us. We have had a lot of, you know, games in the last few days. Don't want to use that as an excuse. But yeah, I guess there was definitely tired legs going into the fourth quarter.
All the starters have had extended minutes. Guy hasn't been afraid to keep you out there and really get those workloads up, knowing that you've now got a week or so off, Ezzy, to regroup and prepare. Is that helping to fast-track the development and the chemistry amongst that starting five?
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, one thing about us, I think anyone can have, you know, a great night, and our, you know, bench does a great job of coming in and stepping out and just being ready and staying ready for any opportunity that's thrown at them. But yeah, definitely building that chemistry on and off the court is something that's helping us now and going to help us for the rest of the season.
Ezzy, it's great to watch you and Kayla and the connection that you have, the high-low action, just any cutting. You really have formed a formidable combination. Are you enjoying playing that role with Kayla?
Yeah, I love playing with Kayla. Her and I were together my first year at Boomers, and we've carried that on. And, you know, just being able to play with her at the Opals as well has been great. So I think we've formed a great connection on the court, and definitely a sisterhood off the court as well.
Another 20 points for you tonight, Ezzy. Congratulations to the team. You're 4-1. You get to go and enjoy your Christmas. Merry Christmas, Ez.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Ezzy Magbagor, one of the young stars and one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. A wonderful ambassador for Australian basketball.
Oh, and as we talked a lot about the Melbourne Boomers, we have to give full credit to Cindy and the way they just persevered, fought back, kept themselves in the game, and really came up with some great highlights as well. 27
points in that final term. 14 in the first, they had 16 in the second, 20 in the third, 27 in the fourth. So the progression throughout the night, you could see it. Early on, they had to rely on their defense to stop the Boomers. They did that, but then they really started to get the offense going off that defense. And that's what was so great to see is, and we talked about that early on, is the learning from everything. So to see that each quarter you got better, they had a better understanding of how to play the bigs and make it a little harder. They had a better understanding of what they could then get away with and do in the offensive end. And they really took the game each quarter and raised. Boomers' numbers sat around 50% for their field goal shooting all night. The Flames ended up at 40% as they got hot later in the night. The rebound count relatively even as well. In fact, you look across the board there, not a huge amount of difference, and you would expect that in a game that only ended up 6 points. But for so much of the night, those stats were really skewed towards the Melbourne Boomers. Well, I think at halftime, the Flames had taken 21 threes. And so to see that they've ended with 29, I thought their shot selection was much better in that second half. But if you like you say, if you look across the board, it is pretty easy and much better shooting percentage from the Flames in the second half. young team. It's almost like we started to see them mature and evolve a little bit in front of our eyes tonight. And you start to see, and we saw this with the Adelaide Lightning a couple of days ago on Sunday as well, that early on in the season, particularly when you've got large groups of players coming together, and we spoke about the Flames, 9 of their 12 players are new to the club.
Yep.
So every game you play, you start to see roles start to emerge and some chemistry and some instinct starting to come into it. Lauren Mansfield played a huge part in that tonight.
Well, she's never played with Keely Frawling or Shyla Heel before. So you could see the chemistry with them developing as the game went on. And some of her passes and just the recognition of when they were cutting and the timing of it were fantastic. And
congratulations again to Emma Mahadi making her debut at 29 years of age. What a fantastic story. So that's game 1 of our Wednesday night WNBL doubleheader in the books. Coming up, it's the UC Capitals hosting the Bendigo Spirit in Canberra. Both these teams looking to bounce back from disappointing losses on Sunday, but only one of them will return to the winners list this evening, while the other won't have quite as an enjoyable a Christmas break. There's been plenty of dramas, as Laurie and I mentioned, in and around the Caps camp over the last 24 hours. How will they respond without their suspended head coach, Paul Goris? Looms, it's a fascinating contest, this one.
Well, I got to jump off of here and get home and watch that game. So, you know, for these two teams that we just saw, they're off to a break for Christmas. So I'm off for a break. So Merry Christmas to everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy your family and friends and have a great festive season.
That wraps up game 1. Laurie, an absolute pleasure. Merry Christmas to you. What a joy to work with you tonight. Thanks so much for your insight. On behalf of our entire production team, thanks for watching. Congratulations to the Boomers, their 4th win on the trot. They're 3rd in 5 days. They're 4-1 on the season. We'll see you back here at 7:30 Eastern for game 2 of our doubleheader between the Caps and the Spirit right here on KO.